Spirit, be my wisdom, be my words, lift me up. Spirit, grow inside me, keep me yours, help me love.
Shalom was, of course, in full swing then. We were kind of, in some ways, separate. Don was, busy with Shalom and the different people. A lot of the people that came there, I think were from Taos and other communities that had come down and really connected with him. And that was the great thing, that all these different ministries and things were happening, whether it was at Faithway House with my dad, downtown at the Santa Fe Village, or at Shalom. That God was moving in so many different ways that it's kind of like there was something for everybody. There wasn't any corner or person that was going to be missed. There was something provided, and everybody had kind of gravitated to what they were interested in. I think the Shalom guys at one time were pretty intellectual kind of guys that would get together and really talk some deep issues and then just enjoy that. And of course Don, he was just amazing. If you lined everybody up, he stuck out like a sore thumb. The guy was straight as an arrow with his hair slicked back and his pins in his pocket, and then he had these other guys that had long hair down to here and beards, and yet there was such an anointing on Don that people responded to him in an incredible way. Because back then people had told him and others, oh, we can't relate to those people, those hippies. You got to be like them or had been one to relate. And Don didn't buy that at all. And I'm so grateful he didn't. And he had a huge influence as they came in and provided, the Shalom ministry. And during that time, there were actually a lot of different Jewish men and couples that came down that gravitated toward that. And it's just like everybody was being touched, it seemed, at the time. I'm sure there's some that weren't, but in our life it seemed like everybody was. I mean, for me, it was a time when I was resisting the Lord, and I don't know if everything hadn't culminated at that time, if I would have given in to the call of the Lord, or I would have been able to keep on resisting. At that time, my stepmom was taking me to a Baptist church, and the guy was so good, at preaching salvation. Every week I wanted to go forward because they'd have the salvation call forward, but I was too embarrassed. And every week she'd say, do you want to go? No. And people were going up in droves every week. And so finally one week it was just so convicting that I started to weep a little, and my stepmom saw me and she's like, do you want to go up now? I'll go with you. And so I thought, this was such a great message. I'll go up. There'll be so many people. I can get kind of lost in the crowd. And as we went up, we were the only two that went up that day. And so I had to stand up there by myself. And I think it was good, because I think till then my pride and everything had kept me from it. And I could have gone up and disappeared in the crowd, but this day I didn't. And so it did make a lasting impression on me. And I, like some of the names we've mentioned that have stayed with the faith, I think some did just get saved and get involved and then go back home and live their lives. And, it's really hard to say. I always run into people that remember those times. And, for me, of course I have fond memories, but I believe it's going to happen again. That one time is not enough. And with every generation and every group of people that are faithful to pray, just like my stepmom and her little Baptist friend did, missionary friend, that God is listening and waiting to pour out again. I believe Santa Fe is really key. It makes the city different. I believe God's going to do something different and, bring in another generation. Well, we've had this talk lately at our church and with others about the millennials. And they are really where our hope is, where the gospel is. Yes, we're all still faithful and going forward, but they're the ones with the energy and the daring and sense of adventure that'll step out. And I do think it's a very difficult place for them, because in my generation, when we were in rebellion, we knew it. The lines were so defined. When we sinned, there wasn't any question that we were sinning in our mind, but we just chose to. But nowadays, things that are acceptable that weren't before. And they're not called sin anymore. If you're living together with somebody that you really love, it's okay. And just different things, you know, that the young people have to contend with, that the world is constantly battering them with, that it's okay and to compromise. And living those lives of zeal for God and obedience, I think are a little harder. And, you know, I think our society, and the parents too, I'll have to say some things we have to blame on the parents. I know us parents get a bad rap, but, you know, we haven't been as consistent, and we've allowed the millennials to be very self-absorbed, and yet I think there is a great kind of remnant group of them that's gathering together, that are trying to break that image that's been put upon them. And they have so many amazing things they have done with technology, and just, you know, they're brilliant. They come up with ideas that we would never have thought of before, and just advance things so quickly. And yet in all that, you know, I think their biggest desire of their heart is community. They want to connect with people, and the very things they've invented that have kind of prohibited them from that by doing tweeting and Snapchat and Facebook and all that, they've kind of lost the sense of human contact, which is the thing they long for. And I think as they seek that out and start connecting more, you know, we didn't have that, so we actually had to talk to each other if we wanted to communicate. And, you know, God meant us to be people that connect and communicate with one another. So I have great hope for the millennials. I just think, you know, they're the ones God's going to use. He might use us older people to help encourage them and teach them and mentor them, but they're the ones that are going to go out and probably do it on a bigger scale than any of us ever imagined. Well, I think in wanting to know that love, they were thinking that it was in maybe more physical expression. And we were thinking, I don't want to exclude myself, more physical and a connection and a care. And yet God's love is so much greater than that and broader than that and encompasses so much more than I think we even realized. You know, it is a all unconditional love, and a love that covers so many mistakes and sins and hurts of the past. And you know, His love is an eternal love, and like I said, an unconditional love that I think most of us can't really quite grasp it, even if we say we do and understand the concept. I think walking in it is always just overwhelming to try to really get a handle on that. And you know, we often, you know, get rejected by people we love, whether it's, you know, spouses or partners or children. And so we often relate to that as a broken love, and yet it's hard to have the concept that with God, you know, that He'll never leave you, that His love is enduring. It's not based really on us, but it's based on Him. And I think that's the big difference.
Give us your comments. We want to know what you think. So drop one in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, God bless.